Good morning. So let's start with a quick warm-up for today. I'm going to try to be done with this in a half hour. So I always like to start my warm-ups with ellipses. And let's just I'm going to try to do some small ones in a wider diameter, some small ones in that diameter. And then I'd like to go on to curves. And we're going to do radiating curves. We'll do single curves to start with. And then we'll do a double curve. And then I'm going to do a triple curve. And today's lesson is a lesson in lines. I'm just going to do a quick, this is an example of a composition in lines out of architecture. This is lines being used to establish the perspective of a car. This was the perspective drawing from a Star Wars image, from a concept artist's spaceship image. Here's just a perspective grid. But these grids are really cool, and they start showing us lines. And here's a whole set of lines radiating from two separate points. That's 2-point perspective. And here we have 1-point perspective. Our lines are radiating from a central point. This is, again, from Star Wars. That's the Millennium Falcon right there, flying into, I think, the Death Star. And here's a perspective drawing. This is George Bridgman. He's an artist and teacher, and he's showing the head and the human head in perspective. Here's an old perspective drawing. Here's an example of lines being used in architecture. We've got striped walls. These are just some cool stripes that I found. Comic book. You see all the straight lines. This is cool because we've got straight lines and curvy lines together. Again, really, really cool straight lines. This is a person who teaches on Skillshare, a class in drawing comic book backgrounds. This is a painting that's in the Boston Museum of Fine Art by Antonio Lopez Garcia. It's really nice. And here's a painting also, incorporating a lot of straight lines. Here we have an example of 3-point perspective. Okay. So let's start out our line exercise with just like a warm-up. And what I'm going to do is I want to make a point, and I want to make another point, and I'm just going to try to pass the line from the one point to the next point. One of the things that helps a lot is speed. Okay. So here, I want to start over. I'm sorry, we started out with just practice, but then it turned into building a grid, which is essentially where we're going to go. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to, on your paper, like let's say your paper is this big. Say that's an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. What I'd like you to do is starting about there, I'd like you to draw a grid. And so it involves a couple of skills. Put a line and then mark a dot, a distance down, the same distance on both sides. And we want to practice marking distances. So we're practicing making lines, and we're practicing making consistent distances. And then we'll go this way. Okay, and so now we've built ourselves a little grid. And now what I want you to do is I want you to go take spots on the grid, like say, we're going to go from this spot to this spot, okay? That's Lucy. She's a Doberman Pinscher lab, and she's really nuts. It's likely that she's barking at nothing, in case you were wondering. So I'm just marking spots and passing a straight line. It's kind of just like a little dot to dot. Okay. And now what I want to do is I want to, working from a dot in the center, I want to try to, starting in other places, I want to try to pass a line to it and through it, okay? And then we're going to take horizontal lines, and starting here, and then as you make the horizontal lines, let them be a little further apart as they work downwards. And then go back to the middle. And again, you see how they're becoming further apart as I work my way up. And this is a radiating compositional space. She's inside now, and it may quiet her down, it may not. Okay. So this time, we're going to go like this. A dot and a dot, okay? And I want you to go like this. I'm working my way to that point and away from it. And I want to do the same thing over here. And this is practice. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I miss. Back to straight lines. Okay, so we have a little bit of a pattern. We might have a topography. And that'll do it for our line practice for the day. Okay, guys, talk to you tomorrow.